In this video, I'm going to take you through my full tutor analysis of the ACCA SBL examination preceding information for the September 2025 exam sitting for the company MenuCraft. My name is James, I'm an ACCA qualified member, and if you'd like access to my exclusive SBL notes on the company MenuCraft, just click the link in the description of this video. You can download a copy and follow it through with the video from start to finish. I'm also delighted to say that I'm affiliated and associated with Astranti. They offer pre-scene analysis packs, mock examinations that are based on MenuCraft and the pre-scene information. And if you'd like to check those out, click the links down below in the description. And for pure transparency as always on the channel, if you were to purchase anything through those links, I've been entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the YouTube channel. And as always, I look after my subscribers. Today is no different. Joe, thank you so much, my friend, for downloading the notes. This video is going to help you, so get comfortable. I'm going to walk and talk you through all the details that are going to help you to get that 50 plus. So this is where you need to go down to on the first page now for the contents to get us started. And if I was in your shoes, I'd start to separate out your own notes section by section, work out what is your method. As to, there is a lot of information given in the pre-scene information, so I would break it up page by page, and that would be my guide, so that if something came up on the exam day, I knew where to pinpoint it. You can see on the left hand side I've highlighted everything designed with MenuCraft. It's down as MC and MenuCraft throughout the pre-scene information. So when it comes to the exam day, if you were to refer to MC, just make sure you've got at the top of your answer that, as they have in the pre-scene information, MenuCraft in brackets MC, or just let the marker know everything that's referred to as MC is MenuCraft. Big tick, you're on to a winner, and it's going to save you a bit of time not having to write down two words on there. Now, coming on to my notes on the left-hand side that are below the contents page now. If you have my notes, you'll follow these through, but we've got the other factors of the SBL syllabus on here, which involve the corporate governance key areas. Agency theory I've got down here, and that's the relationship between the principals. Those are the shareholders, which we do have in MenuCraft. We have two chefs who are the main shareholders. They own 10% each, and the rest of the 80% is owned by other investors. It is a listed company as well. There are agents involved, in other words, managers and directors, and they may have conflicts of interest. So could agency theory come up or be applied? I would say yes for your notes on there. Stakeholder theory, as it does what it says on the tin, it's involved in lots of ACCA examinations, considering the various stakeholders, both internal and external. We've got shareholders, we've got board of directors, we've got customers, suppliers. Definitely an area of theory that you need to be aware of. List out those stakeholders and consider, are they in a good or bad position with MenuCraft? Next, we have corporate social responsibility on my list, the concept of being responsible and how they operate to benefit society. And again, CSR factors, whether that's to do with sustainability, the environment. We're not given too much in terms of the people side of MenuCraft. We're told the board structure, but we're not given any names and little to no information about employees. We are told, however, that they employ highly skilled chefs, so that is definitely something that you need to get down in your notes, that we need to look after them, nurture them, because in Ireland, we'll come on to later on in the video, it is very much a marketplace where they like to support local people, local produce, and the local economy as well. Then we come on to other theories that I think you need to get down for your notes. So we've got the balanced scorecard on there. This is a performance management tool that organizations use to actually measure the success and the four key perspectives of financial, customers, internal processes, and learning and growth. So this links to the day-to-day activities and long-term strategy of the business. And based on the pre-scene information, I think it could be tested. There is a lot of scope. We're given different things about the finances, the customers, and internal processes. So definitely get that down in your notes. The next one we have are the professional skills marks and areas. So analysis, commercial acumen, communication, evaluation, and skepticism. 20 marks of your exam will be on professional skills. Make sure you've got that down, especially skepticism and commercial acumen. So skepticism, challenging what you're given on the exam day in terms of the requirements. And then on top of that, commercial acumen, applying the product and the service to your answers applying the scenario, that is what the examiner is looking for. So make sure you've got those down. Next, we're going on to the ACCA Code of Ethics. This will come up somewhere, or you will be able to apply it on the exam day. You've got the usual that you've seen in all of your previous exams: integrity, objectivity, professional behaviour, professional competence and due care, and confidentiality. An absolute must for you to get down. Next, in terms of models and potentially being applicable to the pre-seen information, we have the 3 E's model. Now, what is actually this all about? You might have seen it before in your tuition. It's discussing the obligations of public sector organisations. So these are listed organisations such as MenuCraft, and how they actually meet the economy, effectiveness and efficiency. Those are the 3 E's criteria to promote public value. So again, it sort of does what it says on the tin. We are looking that we have MenuCraft as a public listed company on there. So based on the pre-seen information, I'd make sure you get down some points from an economic effectiveness and efficiency point of view, which are seen throughout the pre-seen materials. The other theories, which I've managed to get into the top of the notes, I've put these in the first part of the video because you'll see them as we go through the notes, especially from Pestle, Porter's 5 Forces, SWOT analysis, Porter's Diamond on there. There will be some models on your examination and you need to be aware of them. So as you can see on here, from Pestle analysis, we've got the political side, the economic factors, social, technological, environmental and legal. Now, from going through the pre-seen notes, in terms of areas which are a bit weak or they don't have much information, I would say the political and social points are very limited, whereas on the other hand, technological and environmental and legal are much more to go at. There are a lot more points for you to make on there, and you can see the details if you've downloaded a copy of my notes on there. Next theory of Porter's 5 Forces, we have competitive rivalry, supplier power, buyer power, threat of substitution, and threat of new entry. Again, that could be a definite theory that could be applied. The areas which are a bit limited on information are in terms of the buyer power I've got down on here, but the rest of them, competitive rivalry, supplier power, they've got over 600 suppliers actually that we have here for MenuCraft. So again, another theory. You can see some of the details I put on there for you to get down. SWOT analysis, I think, could be the most likely one. There are a heck of a lot of strengths on there, whether it be the market share, and then on top of that, there are weaknesses, threats and opportunities that have been identified. So again, plenty of points for you to get down and apply for and against in a SWOT analysis. We then come on to Porter's Diamond model at the bottom, so a framework that explains how a country's economy can gain a competitive advantage. Again, we're given some information about Ireland and also the other neighbouring country of Gamma that I've highlighted in my notes on the right-hand side in the colours. We've got different factors and conditions there, so factor, demand, related and supporting industries, the firm's strategy, structure and rivalry. There are some points on there, but in my opinion, it's not likely to be tested. Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball, but it's just to get down so that you can have some points that if it was thrown up in the unseen information, more was provided on the exam day, you've got a few good points to go on. So those are some of the key theories before we even get stuck into the pre-seen information that you just need to be aware of. So now let's go through what we're provided by the ACCA SBL team, that we have MenuCraft on here, and we have a meal kit business operating in the country of Ireland. Has a population of nearly 40 million people. That's a key number to get down because we're given how many customers they have later on. We're pleased to see that MenuCraft was established 15 years ago. They've got 500,000 active customers, you can see in my notes, so there's definitely scope to actually grow that. And we've been told on here, since grown to become the second largest meal kit business operating in Ireland based on customer numbers and revenue. So if you've got these notes on here, the customer graph and the revenue graph are found later on in the notes, pages 12 and 13. But all in all, it is a stable and secure business, well established on there. And key thing for your notes when it says that they are the second largest, Freshie is the market leader, and you can see that on page 3. Now coming on to the meal kit industry itself, and in my opinion, it's based on the HelloFresh model. So HelloFresh is a real world company that delivers actual meal kits to people's doors. And as you go through the preceding information, you'll be able to see it a lot more, and you're going, it's basically following the same premise. Now, you might actually have tried HelloFresh, or you understand the meal kit service itself, and basically you have it delivered to your house because it is convenient, it saves you time on there, and this is where you need to refer to and remember these pros and cons for the business model when you are relating it on the exam day. I've got convenient on there, time saving, and later on it also has to be reasonably priced. The actual meal kits themselves have to be healthy, nutritious on there. The ingredients are pre-proportioned, step-by-step recipes, so even James can cook one. Who knows, maybe we could get HelloFresh to sponsor some of these videos. We'll see if anyone gets in touch. Very unlikely, but we'll see. Most meal kit businesses operate on a subscription basis. That key point there of recurring revenue model is really important for you to get down. And customers subscribe to a delivery of pre-prepared recipe ingredients which make up a meal, so they can just select it from a wide range of options on there, and this can be done via their website and mobile app. So very easy to do, reduces the amount of waste, it's a recurring revenue model for the likes of MenuCraft. And the key point not to overlook, there are two methods and options for customers to purchase via their website and mobile app. Again, they could ask that on the exam day for a specific style question. Next, we come on to the meal kit box itself and what it would contain. So this is where you just need to be able to picture and demonstrate in your answers on the exam day that you understand that some of the produce is going to be chilled, like the meat, dairy and fish. There is long life produce on there, so rice, pasta, that's not going to go off very quickly. But then you have on there short life aspects and goods, such as you've got fruits, vegetables, in other words, perishable goods that will go off very quickly. And lastly, those recipe cards, step-by-step, written instructions, easy to actually use those pre-measured ingredients to actually churn out, hopefully, a nice meal. Depends on who's cooking it, I guess. So that's the meal kit industry, and that relates into those professional skills, the commercial acumen, really applying it and demonstrating you understand what is going on in the business. Now, in terms of the market overview, at the end of 2004, this is the most recent set of financial figures we're given in the preceding information, the global meal kit industry was worth $25 billion. That is a real key figure for you to remember, and it's predicted to grow to over $75 billion in the next decade on that. And it says in terms of worth, it doesn't quite say in terms of revenue, but I would assume it's in terms of revenue. And if you make a point about that on the exam day, just be sure to clarify that to the marker. It's going to triple in value over the next 10 years. But the key thing here is, and we'll come on to it later on, that is referring to the global meal kit industry. That is not for Ireland. And what we're going to find out later on is that MenuCraft currently only operate in Ireland. So they're not taking advantage of the global meal kit industry like Freshly are. They are the only other organisation we're provided with in the preceding information who operate globally. And that's where you can see in the next paragraph, the meal kit business, Freshly, was established 17 years ago. And this is where MenuCraft was established 15 years ago. But Freshly was actually produced and established in the neighbouring country of Ghana. Within 3 years of Freshly's establishment, driven by the success of the business model, many more meal kit businesses again began operating across the world. So key country to note down there of Ghana, maybe that could be an opportunity for England to explore into, or going to other countries further and far afield. And as you can see on there, we have that some of the most successful businesses, including Freshly, have gone on to become global businesses operating on multiple continents. So that is what MenuCraft currently don't do. But you can see in my notes, that is a big competitor, high competition, but is also, from a SWOT analysis point of view, a key opportunity. We've then got meal kits have proved to be popular as they offer customers a convenient and reasonably priced alternative to physically shopping. It limits the amounts of food waste, the ingredients are already carefully measured, and that is where the kit provider and avoiding customers to purchase big packs of ingredients, you just get the small amounts required for the recipe. It shows you how to do it on the recipe card, and then you just get on and do it, really. So this is where businesses must provide what the customer wants and expects, as they can change providers quickly. You'll see later on in the pre-seed notes that it's great, they'd like to see that it's sustainable and they get lots of ease out of it, but lots of the competitors offer out deals, could be offers, 25% off, promotions. We're not told specifics, but that is where customers will jump from one to another. We're then told that MenuCraft was the first meal kit business established, shall I say, in Ireland, a country with a well-developed economy, so that is an economic point from a pestle point of view, and they have first mover advantage in Ireland, so lots of customers bought with MenuCraft first of all and then have stuck with them. And this is where nearly 75% of its population live and work in urban towns and cities, and therefore would like to benefit or are prime customers for MenuCraft and these actual meal kits. Then we have that the busy work and family lives, and they desire to eat quickly, easy to prepare meals rather than unhealthy takeaways on there. And what we're told here is meal kits have proven to be particularly popular with young professionals and families as well. We're given later down on page 7 the customer analysis graph, so check that out as well. That is definitely going to help you out, and we'll come on to it later on. Then we have on here, you'll see my color coordinated, easy to break down method of there are currently 4 main businesses which produce and sell meal kits in Ireland. This is where students are going to go wrong and they're going to make mistakes on the exam day, so make sure that isn't you. We've already seen Freshie, as you can see there. They are the only global business to which the other 3, so that's MenuCraft, MC, Food Dropper and A Meals, they operate only in Ireland on there. So that is a real key aspect for you to get your head around. They only operate in Ireland, and this is where there are also several smaller meal kit businesses. That is the 11% you can see on that market share diagram on the left hand side, which either operate regionally or offer a bespoke service focused on specific dietary requirements on there. So fully vegan recipes, for example, niche products, definitely something to be aware of. There could be things such as acquisitions and mergers for you to refer to, as another opportunity in a SWOT analysis. Another key point is that Freshie is MC's largest competitor. Let me just scroll it down for you on here, as you can see on the left hand side. However, despite Freshie being an internationally known brand, MC has managed to maintain a strong competitive position and has established itself as a well-respected local brand throughout Ireland. So Ireland's like to support other locals. The actual company of MenuCraft hire Ireland employees on there. It's its unique selling point. MC actually had first mover advantage, as we saw before, so that is where they are more loyal in terms of the organisation. You can see on the diagrams on the left hand side that we've got on here that we've got the meal kit market share in Ireland at 2004, and there we can see it all totals up to 100%. MenuCraft has 24% market share. It is a oligopoly market structure and an economic point you could refer to in a pestle analysis. The last point on here and diagram is the meal kit customer growth. So this is specifically for Ireland, so this is not for a global market on here. And you can see the customers in the most recent years on here, up to 2004, has been growing increasingly. And this explains the graph better on page 7, we'll come on to later on, why active customer numbers were actually low in earlier years from the actual MenuCraft being formed. The reason why it was low in the earlier years is because customers were getting used to the business concept, and then it started to kick on in, 2010 on there? Or 2000 on there for it, or 20x0. On page 2, they predicted growth to treble in the next decade. That is globally, remember, and this is where you mustn't get it mixed up on this diagram. And you can see on here the customer growth in terms of the millions of customers. So this is in terms of people on there and not dollars for it on there. So that is another key concept and aspect for you to be aware of. So now let's move on to the meal kit options in the bottom left, and this is where meal kit customers in Ireland are increasingly looking for meal options which suit their dietary requirements, so a wide product range, And this has led to meal kit businesses offering, as you would imagine, a wide range of menu choices on there to meet those dietary needs, preferences, and tastes. So keywords for you to get down are they've got things like a vegetarian option, a vegan option, gluten-free, low fat, low carbohydrate. The other flip side to this, that yes, it's a major SWOT analysis advantage, offering a wide product range. However, there is a risk of making sure that you've got all these different dietary requirements. It could be a sort of legal factor when it comes to a pest analysis as to what if there was some cross-contamination, that the meal kit options have to be dealt with correctly. And that nicely leads us on to the top right now, where we have the meal kit subscription process. How does it work in terms of the business model and the customers actually getting their meal kits? Well, as you can see on there, we have 3 different stages, 1, 2, and 3. And in terms of the descriptions of each of the processes, so what we have up here is subscribing to a meal kit service through a meal kit app or website on there. Those are the 2 different payment options for customers. This subscription process allows customers a large degree of flexibility in terms of the size, type, and frequency. So that is where you will see it on stage 2 in the box. And whatever they wish to purchase, subscriptions can be cancelled at any time by the customers. So you can see it as a nice little flowing diagram on there. Stage 1, setting up an account, whether that's on the website or the mobile app. I think one of those, there might be an issue on the exam day or something might happen with one of them, so make sure you're aware of the 2 different options. I've also put in my notes that there is a data protection risk here because we've got actual customers' personal details, address, payment details. So it could lead to a lawsuit, it may lead to sort of ethical issues, just something for you to get down in your notes. Then we have the variables that we've talked about in terms of the different meal kit options that are part of the process. So you can see underlined different sizes, different preferences, different recipes, and the frequency on there as well. We've got robots and humans both in the stage 2 process when it comes to actually getting the orders ready. And when they are ready at stage 3, where they're going to either confirm the order or cancel it. And we have no details on when the actual payment is taken. So it's all well saying, yes, it goes out to the customers, but one would assume they have to pay before it's delivered. But they've got 48 hours before the required delivery date to actually confirm the selection on there and when it will arrive, or they can cancel and suspend the actual delivery. So this is where your commercial acumen marks will come into it, that you can discuss on the exam day to the requirements, that you understand the process of the business. Now we come on to, on the right hand side, the key drivers in growth of the meal kit market itself. Or you can see as in my notes, we've broken it down there, or think of it as what could go wrong for MenuCraft. So the 4 areas of convenience and time saving, quality of the actual products, the menu variety and customization, and lastly, cost effectiveness. As you would expect in terms of time saving and convenience, you don't want to delay or for the actual meals to not turn up. So those are the things in terms of a key driver for growth that could potentially go wrong. But basically in the boxes, it's saying all the positive things that they need to be doing. When it comes to quality, as you would imagine, high quality ingredients, partnering with farmers and suppliers, so different stakeholder groups for you to get down in your notes there. And the key word as well, customers expect their quality and fresh goods in these boxes. So things to go wrong if it's not up to standard or below what the customer had in terms of its expectation for freshest produce. Then in terms of variety and customization, so a diverse menu selection attracts and retains customers because you don't want to eat the same thing every single night. That's why they want a range of recipes, worldwide cuisine. That's where hiring the talented chefs we'll come on to later on is so important, and retaining them and matching their dietary preferences and requirements. So they're paying the premium to have this service for the ease and convenience. They're paying for the variety and not having the same meal every day. We're then coming on to the cost effectiveness on it, and this is where we're told it's essential for them to strike the correct balance between offering value for money and maintaining that reasonable price and getting the quality balance as well. Customers are likely to remain loyal if they perceive the meal kits to be cost effective compared to dining out or having to actually shop for the ingredients and do it themselves. So this is where we're told later on there are offers and deals from competitors to go elsewhere. But the majority of MenuCraft customers are very loyal because they like that it has actually formed in Ayland. Another final point below the actual diagram and box you can see at the bottom of page 4 now. So however, despite its growing popularity, the meal kit industry still accounts for a very small proportion, less than 1.5% of the overall food and sales market globally. Key point there, globally, not just in Ayland. Therefore, meal kit businesses recognise that there is still a significant opportunity to develop and grow the meal kit market. So again, screaming out for a SWOT analysis point there as an opportunity. The key fact and point of that 1.5%, make sure you've got down in your notes. And lastly, that's globally, not in Ayland. We can now move on to page 5 on the left-hand side, where we're going to get stuck into the industry challenges and developments. Break it up section by section, where we're told about intense competition and could definitely be linking back into some of those theories we touched on earlier, especially porters. And this is where we have that MenuCraft could expand internationally on there, that SWOT analysis, the opportunity. And we're told that several meal kit businesses operating in Ayland, and one of those, Freshie, as there, is a large internationally renowned business with a large corporate backing. So that means as well that they are an enormous organisation, just like on there for MenuCraft, which is a publicly listed company. So again, it has that option of maybe getting some corporate backing themselves. Also, and this is a major, don't get heat and eat mixed up with the meal kits. So let me just take you through it here. So the heat and eat market is popular with customers in Ayland. Heat and eat meals are different from meal kit boxes in that they are fully prepared meals which require customers to heat them up in the oven or microwave. So in other words, microwave meals as if you're going to a supermarket. There is no need for customers to undertake any preparation of ingredients. Many supermarkets offer a wide range of heat and eat products on there. So that is where you've got to get down. MenuCraft on there don't make heat and eat products. Could be an opportunity, could possibly get more information on this on the exam day, but don't get them mixed up that MenuCraft has both of them. That is where it's going to show up to the marker that you've not read the pre-seen information correctly. In addition, supermarkets have recognised the threat, another sort of SWOT analysis hint there, posed by online meal kit businesses, and some supermarkets have recently started offering their own lines of meal kit options in store and online. So there are threats there as to a SWOT analysis that the supermarket's trying to take away maybe some of MenuCraft's customers, but you could look at it from a stakeholder point of view that MenuCraft could partner up with a supermarket and offer their produce to save the supermarkets having to do it themselves. Now we're coming on to customer retention, and this is where it's all about the attraction and acquisition that has been actually relatively straightforward, we're told here, and another opportunity for many meal kit businesses with a wide range of marketing and social media coverage through their online channels. So talking about strategy here now. However, customer retention has proved difficult for most businesses, with many customers switching frequently to obtain new customer discounts and offer from competitors. So this is where, as we saw in that market share, you might get on there MenuCraft giving 10% off and then trying to take some of Freshie's market share on there or customers. And this is where we're told in terms of other customers finding a subscription service either too expensive or too restrictive, customers' churn in the meal kit industry is high, with less than 25% of subscriptions lasting more than 6 months. So they like it for a bit, then they get a bit tired of it, and then they sort of think, oh, is it getting a bit too expensive now? And then they cancel the membership, like we've seen on there for the subscription, and then they either go to a competitor or they just don't have it at all. So key fact there to note down about the 25% of subscriptions lasting more than 6 months on there, with less than 25% of subscriptions lasting more than 6 months, so very short term. We're then coming on to logistical complexities on there for it, with the need to offer a wide variety of meal kits. So imagine you're trying to organise all these different recipes and all these different ingredients and all these different delivery options on there, and it's all about the promise of the freshest range of ingredients. Many meal kit businesses partner with hundreds of different ingredient suppliers on there. This is all trying to meet the customer and what they expect, but we're not told actually if MenuCraft has all of this in place. But this requires significant investment in supplier management information systems and continuous supplier relationship management to ensure that the freshness of the ingredients are available to fulfill the customer's orders when they are demanded. So if you've got customers demanding curry dishes or Caribbean dishes, or maybe, who knows, English dishes, whatever it may be, the Chief Operating Officer is accountable for this area. We're not told who that is, but they are part of the board of directors. Similarly, coordination of customer deliveries is complex and requires significant investment in sophisticated logistics software and strong relationships with third-party logistics suppliers. Again, we're not told actually if MenuCraft has this in place. Make sure you get that down as a point for a pestle analysis as a technological point. And then also lastly, I've got down there being careful to differentiate between capital expenditure. Can we capitalize the amount that we're paying? Or is it simple revenue expenditure for the day-to-day costs of running the business? We're then told about the food safety and increasing regulations. So meal kits include a wide variety of perishable goods. So those are foods that go off and go bad very quickly, as you would expect. Meat, fish, eggs, dairy products on there, milk, cream, cheeses. And what we're told here, many of these products without suitable packaging, storage and refrigeration are subject to potential cross-contamination on there. Not what you want as a food business, because that could relate into lawsuits, fines on there, and major risks. So with potential cross-contamination, that's all about harmful bacteria, but it's not a science exam, so don't worry. And it grows and could lead to serious illness. In some countries across the world, meal kits have been linked to outbreaks of illnesses and food poisoning. So you could get on the exam day in an exhibit, maybe a bad press release or a social media post, something like that, maybe could come up. So as a result, food standards regulators are becoming increasingly focused on meal kit providers, setting out best practice documentation and increasing regulatory standards and guidance directly related to how meal kit businesses store, package and deliver their raw ingredients and final meal kit boxes. We're going to come on to it in a moment, but you can see on the right hand side on page 6 the key actual government agency which we're going to be talking about later on that is the regulatory body is that Ireland Food Standards Agency, the AFSA. So in terms of thinking about this sort of food safety and regulation, think about what could happen to a customer, worst case scenario, different risks here, the systems that the business has in place, do we need to review these, and then possible negative press release or social media posts. Again, linking into page 10 that we have on there that MenuCraft could lose its license if it doesn't meet those regulatory standards. We now come on to innovations, and this is all about the food production industry, including the meal kit sector, is increasingly turning to robotics in food processing and the manufacturing and in the packaging of final products. So again, from a social aspect of a pestle analysis, that is where that is going to require less people to be part of the process. It may end up laying people off on there. Then we're told about data analytics are also being used more frequently in the industry to predict recipe demands on there for supply availability of goods. Meal kit businesses receive millions of comments and ratings from customers daily through their websites and through social media channels. An analysis and evaluation of this data helps them to identify the best and worst performing recipes and therefore stocking which ingredients they're going to sell most. For your notes, again, pestle analysis, lots of technology points on here, but the flip side from a legal point of view, the data breach risk of using all these customer information and analytics. What if it got into the public domain? What could possibly go wrong? And on page 8, there is no IT or technology officer accountable for the development of this key area with the right and sufficient technical knowledge. So in other words, if something goes wrong on the exam day and you see it's something to do with technology, refer to the board of directors that they don't have that technical knowledge or someone in place from a IT or technology officer background on there. So that's where we come up to the top, where it leads on to a few more points as well. So this is where they share the recipe with the development teams and procurement teams to incorporate the most recent feedback into the development or improvement of those actual recipes. The procurement teams can use this information to work closely with suppliers to make sure that they actually have the correct goods. So anything to do with procurement, or if it comes up as a requirement on your exam day, this is about the process of acquiring those goods and services that a company needs to operate. So plenty of strengths on there, developing the recipes, and lots of opportunities there to work closely with suppliers and to build better ties. Due to the competition in the meal kit market, some businesses are looking towards new and unique delivery partnerships. So again, another opportunity here to attract more customers and the meal kit experience. So this includes partnerships with large retailers such as supermarkets to sell their meal kit boxes in store, and collaborations with high profile celebrities and celebrity chefs to develop new and exciting recipes. However, you've got to think of the downside on this. So you've got the costs associated with it, the resources, cost benefit analysis. Is it going to be worth it? But from a supermarket's perspective, to partner up with the likes of Freshie or MenuCraft, again, you could be asked about this in a stakeholder analysis. That is where it could be a massive positive that in terms of the supermarket having their actual own meal kits, they can just partner with the business and meet the demands themselves. And that nicely brings us on to the KPIs, as you can see on here. Short and sweet, as you would imagine. This is where we're given the revenue, active customers, meals delivered, orders per customer, average order value, food waste, and carbon emissions. They all do what they say on the tin. This is a performance indicator, and I've put the pages on the side later on into the notes where we are given diagrams to analyze them. The key bit for your notes, you can see, as you can see on mine on the screen, there is no graph for food waste in terms of a KPI, and there is no graph provided for carbon emissions. So be sure to look out for that on the exam day. Could potentially come up as an area that you need to be aware of, because that is where it could link into other areas such as legal aspects from a pestle analysis and leading on to other areas of theories that you could have to apply. So now let's move on to the industry regulatory body. Now this is important for your notes to get it down, and as you can see from my notes, key to remember the agency, role and full name there. So the Ayland Food Standards Agency, AFSA, is the government agency responsible for food safety and food hygiene in Ayland. So working with and directly, well, hopefully in collaboration with MenuCraft, that things will be going great. But you never know on the exam day, there could be a hygiene or a safety issue. It works with a wide range of food-related businesses throughout Ayland to ensure that all food safety regulations and standards are being met. So I've got down there accountability, could link to a sort of ethics or corporate governance point of view. Definitely a thing I'd be getting down in my notes to have ready to apply on the exam day. Now, linking this to other areas that I thought would be beneficial to have down in your notes are some of the actual other theories and models that have come up and will link into the pre-C materials as we go through. The first one being Ansos's Matrix, which is a strategic planning tool that helps businesses to analyze and identify growth opportunities. So looking at market penetration, product development, markets development, and diversification. Based on what we've been through already in the pre-C materials and to come, I would say it has definitely got a chance of applying some of the pre-C information and could possibly be tested. We then also have the Johnson, Scholes and Whittington JSW model, and this is a framework used in strategic management that evaluates strategic options based on 3 criteria. So is the decision suitable, is it feasible, and is it acceptable? And essentially assessing whether a strategy aligns to the organisation's goals, which we are actually provided in terms of some of the KPIs and the board of directors as well. And this is where, again, I believe it could be applied or tested come the exam day. Another area that covers a lot of bases within the pre-seen materials are the 6 capitals of integrated reporting, which are financial, manufactured, intellectual, human, social and relationship, and natural capital. So these capitals are based on an organisation's value creation and discuss the usefulness of the information to stakeholders. Well, I can tell you now they've talked about value creation in the pre-seen materials. You'll see it later on, and there are a variety of stakeholders that are referred to. So again, definitely one you need to be aware of, could be applied, and you'll see that in the mock papers that Astranti provide in the links below. So now let's move on to the other areas of the pre-seen materials for your notes. We now come on to MenuCraft, an overview of the company and its background. So this is going to be the difference in a student understanding what the company is about and applying it on the exam day. Because MenuCraft is a meal kit business on there, founded 15 years ago, so well established in the capital city of the country of Ireland on there. And this is one of the reasons why locals like the company. They have great loyalty towards it because it was actually founded by 2 experienced local chefs. They have seen the success of the meal kit business model in other countries. This is the chefs. They were confident with their local knowledge of Ireland's food and industry and the high quality local produce that they could offer something different on there. So again, different areas and things that I've just got down of the model was tried and tested elsewhere. They applied it in Ireland and it was successful. Then we're told that MenuCraft has established its strategic position as a high quality meal kit business, differentiating itself by focusing on Ireland-based recipes which use, where possible, locally sourced ingredients. So there are other opportunities to take that potentially internationally, and this is what customers in essence in Ireland are looking for when they are looking for an actual meal kit provider. So MealCraft on there, or MenuCraft should I say, employs talented and high qualified chefs. So this is the sort of, from a pestle point of view, the social, the people aspects to be aware of. And they design its recipes using seasonal available ingredients where possible. And each week on their MenuCraft actually go through and offer its customers up to 30 recipes to choose from based on carefully analysed data relating to ingredient availability and customer menu preferences. So they're using data in there, so that could be another technology point for a pestle analysis. But I'd be thinking there are a lot of recipes and a lot of food to source, and things could go wrong if orders were not treated correctly. So again, that could be a sort of weakness, that they're trying to offer all these recipes in a SWOT analysis, but then hang on a second, how are they going to logistically do it? In its first 2 years, MenuCraft, as you can see, offered only a limited range of recipes. They were just starting up to customers in Ireland, the capital city. Then MenuCraft started to grow steadily over the next 5 years, largely funded by an Ireland venture capitalist. So we're not told who they are on there, so something to get down in your notes. As the popularity of the meal kits have taken off globally, in the last decade, we've got that MenuCraft on there has also experienced a significant growth in customer numbers in Ireland, driven by a growing urban population and increased usage of internet technologies to attract and communicate with a wide range of customers, so that MenuCraft, as you can see, has one of the highest customer retention rates in the industry. That last sentence there is absolutely critical for you to get down, that MenuCraft has the highest customer retention rates in the industry. So what that means is you get lots of customers, as we saw previously, that most of their subscriptions don't last more than 6 months, and that's where they'll chop and change to go to a competitor because of a discount or something on those lines. And then from there, what we're saying there is that the customer retention rates are the highest for MenuCraft. That is a very good positive key point to remember and note down. We're also given 2 diagrams about the customer analysis and the active customer numbers on there at MenuCraft. So key things here, that we've got the families segment is growing, couples market is remaining stable, and the ones that is actually dropping are single people on there, declining year on year. When it comes to the active customers, again, we're told and we're given later on that we've got on page 13 that the active customers for the last 5 years are provided, so that's on page 13. But the stagnant first few years are because it was 15 years ago it was actually founded, and it got off to a bit of a slow start. People weren't used to the actual concept, but in recent years you can see it has really has a positive trajectory, and it's going to go only one way, which is up, especially with those global trends and the potential growth on there. We can now come up to the top right hand side where we're told that MenuCraft was listed 3 years ago. Okay, and this is on the ACCA stock market. We're not given any share price changes for those 3 years. We're not told anything about dividends, and it wasn't too long ago, so it has had to comply more greatly as it is actually listed now. And its 2 original founders still hold key positions on the board. So I've identified those on the board structure below. So that's the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Commercial and Marketing Officer on there. They both hold 10% of the shares each, with the remaining 80% of shares are owned by a range of investors. So again, you've got different stakeholder groups that were provided with on this page. It is a risk area though in terms of the control and direction of the business moving forward, and on the exam day we may get more information as to who are the 80% and how is it broken down. Now, coming on to the board structure, key points for you to get down here: that when you're reading the requirement on the exam day, no matter what they throw at you, try to think about which director is accountable for the area that you're being tested in the requirement. We're also not given any information about the non-executive director's experience or their expertise. We're not given any names on there. And we're told about the possible control point here based on the actual structure. So what I'm getting at here is, I'll put my mouse on it. So this is where, if you think about it logically, look where the actual structure is going. For the Chief Executive Officer, they are in charge of the Chief Finance Officer, the Chief Operating Officer, who reports to the CEO, the Chief Commercial and Marketing Officer, one of those original founding chefs, and the Chief People Officer. So is the Chief Executive Officer with a 10% shareholding basically running the show? It's quite hard to say, but again, it's just one of those things that hopefully we'll get more information on the exam day as to what it means in terms of their different roles and how it's broken down for the board structure. And lastly, for the UK Corporate Governance Code, now granted this is actually based in Ireland on there, they'll have their own rules and regulations, but at least half of the board, excluding the chair, should be made up of non-executive directors. And as you can see on here, we've got non-executive director, non-executive director, non-executive director, and non-executive director with a senior independent non-executive director. So they have 5 NEDs on there, but I was really curious, and I get it down in your notes, what differentiates a senior independent versus a just normal non-executive director? So based on the titles, no directors in place for the IT, systems, sustainability, the environment. They talk about these quite a lot in the pre-C materials, so another key point for you to get down in your notes. Because it is a listed organisation, they have committees such as the Audit and Risk Committee on there. Oh, actually, I've just noticed in my notes I've put no risk committee. There is a risk committee. They've put it as Audit and Risk. So, I mean, usually they would have it as just a risk committee, but it could be a niggle point that you could mention actually in your notes, that why are the Audit and Risk Committee together? It's up to you, but I might just put it down in your notes just to amend that on there. There is a risk committee, but there's no breakdown of which board members' skills and expertise are part of each of the committees. So again, just to be aware of on there for you to get down and to apply on the exam day. We then come on to the operation sides of it now. So we've got ingredients and the suppliers. So this is a big point of the business now that we need to make sure we wrap our heads around. So when it comes to MenuCraft now, they use over 600 suppliers. So that is a lot of stakeholders to manage, and things could possibly go wrong. Most of which are located in Ireland, so that's another positive tick for looking after local produce. A significant majority of MenuCraft's customers select traditional Ireland-based recipes regularly, so in terms of stocking the ingredients, that's a good thing. as a nation, Aylands people are proud of its local traditions and traditional recipes, and the population is loyal and supportive to local producers and their products. So local is best for the customers. From a SWOT analysis point of view, a massive strength. We're told that quality and sustainability are important criteria, that is for MenuCraft when selecting suppliers. We're not told who undertakes these, the detailed assessments though, just be aware of, and each supplier undergoes a detailed assessment before their ingredients are used actually in the meal kit recipes. We're told that MenuCraft's preference is to work with the best-in-class suppliers who hold certifications of safety and quality, and they encourage and support its suppliers in biodiversity and sustainability activities. Many of the farmers, so another stakeholder group for you to get down there, who actually supply to MenuCraft on there, also use organic farming methods whereby they do not use any synthetic pesticides or fertilizers to produce their food. So again, more strength points for you to refer back to from a SWOT analysis point of view. Some really good background due diligence when analysing the suppliers. But you've got to say to yourself, all this is really, really good to hear, but with 600, probably one or two are going to come out as a bit of a bad egg. So yeah, you can't get it right all the time. We're next told that to help maximise efficiency and minimise waste on there, MenuCraft uses algorithms which predict recipes ordered by customers and therefore demand for each week, meaning that they can order the right amount of ingredients and supplies to reduce the waste. Obviously, they're not going to get it completely perfect, but they've got it down here that less than 1% in terms of weight of all goods purchased ingredients do not make it to the customers in the meal kit process. Therefore, the majority of edible unused ingredients are donated to local charitable organisations. Another stakeholder group, unused ingredients not fit for human consumption, they're used as animal feed. Another stakeholder group, only inedible waste is sent to landfill or is incinerated on there. But in other words, very little, very good processes in place. Could link into a sort of Porter's value chain style of question. Elements of pestle in there from an environmental point of view and a technology point of view, and of course more strength points from a SWOT perspective. Some ingredients such as dried herbs and spices, rice, pasta, tinned ingredients can be stored for longer periods, and therefore these are often purchased in bulk and stored in warehouses next to MenuCraft's production factory. Fresh ingredients such as fruit and vegetables are ingredients which must be chilled, such as meat and dairy products are delivered within 20 to 48 hours of when they're needed, determined by orders placed on the customers. So it sort of links into a sort of just-in-time approach for when they're actually ordering in the goods. Because they're ordering in bulk, you could refer to maybe discounts on there. However, the flip side, because they're storing some of these in a warehouse, there are going to be extra storage costs associated with it. Coming on to the left-hand side now and carrying on, we're told that they are delivered directly to the fresh food storage area within the production factory. So again, another SWOT analysis strength, that it's all kept in one place, where they're stored until they're used in the meal kit orders. This area is temperature controlled and is where fresh and chilled products are delivered and stored so short space of time before moving to the production line where meal kit boxes are all put together. So it sounds like a well-run process, but I'm always thinking when I read through these things, what could possibly go wrong? And there are a few things as to what if the goods are left out, what if they're left in room temperature. There are so many different things. The suppliers deliver all the chilled and fresh food products pre-proportioned, so another good strength there that saves on time and costs, and that is either in the form of 1, 2 or 4 meal portions. MenuCraft then works closely with most of its suppliers to minimise any packaging use and insists that wherever possible suppliers use recyclable or biodegradable packaging when they deliver to MenuCraft on there. So again, another massive positive from an environmental point of view in a pestle analysis. We then come on to packaging, and it's an important element of a meal kit box, as you would imagine. So MenuCraft on there purchase all of its meal kit box packaging components from one supplier based in Aylands. Again, a good point that it is a local supplier. However, on there, it's located 20 kilometers away from the actual production factory. So from a SWOT analysis point of view, another weakness. Could they move it closer? Could they make it internally? It could hold up production if they don't have enough boxes. And we've just seen from that sort of just-in-time and bulk buying previously, it's all got to fit in, and does it all work collectively on there? We then come on to the supplier providing two key packaging components which make up a meal box. So you've got a chill box and an outer box on there. Really good for the environment. Both of them are recyclable on there. Not much more to say. There are lots of positives that we keep going for. And then we come on to the actual MenuCraft now works closely in partnership with its packaging supplier to design and develop the latest and most environmentally friendly packaging solutions. So again, another pestle environmental point there from a positive point of view. And that's where we're not told who they are, but the Chief Operating Officer, I would say, is accountable for these positive production steps in place. Another really good SWOT analysis strength point, and plenty to discuss that you've got to get your head around in terms of the production. Where we're going to start now and move on to is the meal kit box production on the left-hand side. So this is where we're told that MenuCraft, as you can see, operates one large production factory located in central Ireland, where all meal kit production takes place. At this facility, there are 4 separate production lines which operate 16 hours per day, 7 days a week. So good location, operates in Ireland, employing Ireland people on there, fantastic. But there could be an issue, or it sounds like there is one, in terms of capacity. And with 4 separate production lines, there's definitely a risk there that there could be operationally things that could go wrong. At the start of a production line, the production information system produces a label, as you can see on here, through a unique barcode. The robot then reads the barcode, selects the correct size box. A second robot then places the empty box using the different ingredients that are added. At each stage, the barcode is scanned by a human operative who then, as you can see, selects the correct recipe, places it in the meal kit box, and then at the final stage of production has a final quality check on there. This is also carried out by a human operative to ensure that all the correct ingredients have been properly packed. And lastly, the inner chill box lid is closed and the outer box is then sealed by a human operative as well. So my questions and things that I look at when I see that kind of aspect, and they've talked about the time taken from start to finish of the meal kit production to dispatch to the customer is normally no longer than 3 hours. So I'm already thinking, why have they got some human intervention there? Why can't they just use robotics all the way through? There's risk of human error. There's risk of robot error on there. So there's a pestle technology point to be raised. Is it the most efficient production system? Which member of the board of directors is accountable for that? And what about the boxes if they are started when the factory is just about to close at the end of the day? Because if it takes 3 hours and you start the process going through this and it's only 1 hour till it closes, well, what about the food? What about the things that go into the box? So there is a sort of time and overlap and risk of goods getting damaged or affected on there. So potential weaknesses from a SWOT analysis point of view. Then when it comes on to the distribution point at the bottom, that delivery of the completed meal kit boxes to customers is carried out by a third-party logistics supplier, so outsourcing it there to GoFlow, another key name to get written down. And again, another positive, based in Ireland. GoFlow's vehicles are all equipped with the best and latest refrigeration technology. MC works in close partnership with GoFlow to ensure optimization of the route planning to minimize CO2 emissions, the distribution process, and on scheduling to actually maximize the freshness of the meal kit contents. So again, from a SWOT analysis point of view, only positive there as strengths. They've outsourced it to a clearly high quality vehicle provider in GoFlow. Local business, that's another good tick. And linking it back to pestle, another good environmental point there in the distribution. Coming up to now on the right hand side, we're now going to look at the extracts from MenuCraft's latest risk report. And the model you definitely have to be aware of in case risks are highlighted in your examination in a requirement is the TARA model. So this is all about having a structured approach to managing risk, classifying them into 4 areas. as to should we transfer the risk, should we avoid the risk, should we reduce the risk, or finally accept the risk. And the 4 key areas are about the risk of competition, legal and regulatory risks on their customer attraction and retention, and lastly data and information. So what is the sort of overview for competition? So the worrying area if customers' trust is actually lost. It's a highly competitive environment. Customers have many choices on there, which includes direct and indirect competitors, both online and offline. From a legal and regulatory point of view, definitely could be referred to in a pestle legal point here. We've got the Alien Food Standards Agency that every 6 months they put in a rigorous external checks, and there is a risk that the license to operate depends on this certification that could be lost. So what if a customer suffered some food poisoning or sued the business, for example, from a hygiene, food, health, safety and data protection point of view? And the costs, and what if MenuCraft actually lost their license? Those are sort of worst case scenarios that you need to be aware of in case it came up on the exam day, always mentioned in the unseen information. Next, in terms of attraction and retention, so growth relies on attracting new customers. There is scope for this actually in Ayland, as we've seen above. And then in terms of alternative food choices, there are increasing challenges about competition. But in terms of, from a SWOT analysis point of view, this is definitely a threat that customers could go elsewhere. Customer retention, again, is a wide challenge on there, so they can lose interest, and they can be enticed by other competitors, maybe with promotional offers and incentives. So look at page 13 about active customers increasing. So it is going positively, and we're already told that MenuCraft have the best retention of customers compared to all their competitors. Last but by no means least, we have the data and information. So this is all about personal data, the subscription of the customers and suppliers. Data is vulnerable to security incidences and breaches, and obtaining unauthorized access or sabotaging systems can be a major risk because the data and packages are changing so frequently, and they're unable to anticipate or prevent such attacks. So again, you've got Pesto on there from a technology point of view, and if they are actually breached, the probability of fines and lawsuits would definitely be increased. So if I was in your shoes, prepare for any one or maybe more of those risks and to link it into a theory on there. Speaking of theories, I've included some more, as you can see on page 10, that I would definitely get down in your notes that could be possibly tested and applied. The first one being the Boston Consulting Matrix. So that's a tool that helps companies to analyze their product portfolios, and this is where we look at it on a basis of market growth versus market share. We could get more information on this on the exam day, and what we're trying to work out is, do we have a product or a service here that is a star, a question mark, a cash cow, or a dog on there? So leading to different outcomes, and I've got it to basically say it could be tested and definitely one you should be aware of. We have the Pop-It model as well. So this is a framework that helps businesses to analyze and improve their processes and structures. We've just gone through a meal kit production and process. So it involves everything from people, the organization, processes, information and technology. Even me just reading that out to you now, you're there going, good grief, James. I think all of those have been mentioned so far. So definitely one that could be tested. Mendelow's matrix model could also be applied here as to looking at key players and keeping them satisfied. Who are the key players? Minimal effort and keeping them informed. So this is where, in terms of stakeholder groups, working out how much power they have and the level of interest. Again, another model I would definitely be wanting to make sure I'm on top of. And lastly, we also have the 7 Ps about price-based strategies on there, so helping an organization to sustain its competitive advantage. We've seen aspects about the products. We don't really know in terms of pricing, but it needs to be competitive. But I think there could be other aspects that you could apply the 7 Ps as well. Definitely don't overlook those. Now we're coming on to the website extracts on the left-hand side. The mission, vision and values, a critical part of the pre-seed materials in my eyes. The mission is pretty simple, as you can see on there, to make healthy home-cooked simple, affordable, accessible to everyone, whatever their level of cooking skills. something will go wrong on the exam day. This is what I thought when I went through it. So if it's to do with any of those areas that impact on the customers, quote back to that mission. If it's something that it isn't simple, if it isn't affordable, if it isn't accessible, refer back to that is now breaking the mission of the business. Then we come on to the vision, and this is all about promoting healthy and sustainable food that customers and the communities can serve to live a healthier life and healthier world on that. So any point highlighting the quality of the food produce, refer back to those key terms. These are two stakeholder groups. Again, it could link into Mendelow's, which we've just talked about. And the environmental / sustainability link here about a healthier world, healthier life, key to note down because they love to test it on an exam day because it's very topical. So anything to do with those areas about quality of food and in the environment on there and different stakeholder groups, refer back to and quote the vision. Now, the more interesting one is the values. Just go through them one by one because the key word on here is they are committed. So if they break any of these values, which something will go wrong on the exam day, say that this is breaking the commitment to the business of MenuCraft's values. You've got on there promoting healthy and convenient food choices. So that's the stakeholder group of the customers. We've got the food producers in growing and making high quality ingredients for the recipes. So the environment, the farmers on there. And you can see on my notes, I think one of these areas will come up on the exam day. So refer back to it as to breaking the commitment to the values. Making a positive environmental decisions throughout our value chain. So another little hint there about Porter's value chain theory and the environment being referred to. Again, this can overlap with SWOT analysis and PESTEL. Promoting sustainability for long-term benefit of all of our stakeholders through our ESG, planet, people and governance. So linking into on there again sort of Mendelow and stakeholder theory. Next, we're told about demonstrating responsible leadership in all aspects of the business. Ethics questions come to mind, the board of directors being held accountable, and ensuring every member actually of MenuCraft upholds the highest ethical standards based on honesty, respect, and accountability. And you think to yourself, every member of MenuCraft, is that the employees? Are we going to get more information on them? Is it the people who work in the factories? Is it just the board of directors on there? Again, linking to agency theory possibly, but definitely ethics as well. I touched on Porter's value chain and those sort of hints, so I've definitely had to include that on page 11. So what you're looking at here is Porter's value chain is a strategic management tool that helps businesses to identify and improve their competitive advantage. As you would imagine from us going through the full pre-seed information top to bottom, breaking that business down into their different activities, the product or service, looking at efficiencies and the competitive strategy. It has a lot going for it in terms of the value chain to be tested. I've also put on here some possible scenarios to come up on the exam day. Again, I was just thinking as I was reading it through, I don't have a crystal ball, but I wanted to get it down in the notes as to strategic positioning versus competitors. I've also got governance and leadership, linking in the board of directors with some form of ethics. Risk and regulation, we've seen so much in terms of the food safety and data security. Lots of legal factors there, maybe from a PESTEL point of view. Customer retention and marketing strategies. So that could be bringing in other areas of the SBL syllabus that are not as financially based. It could be looking at different strategies about the business operationally and strategically. And last, they absolutely love these areas: sustainability, ESG and operations, carbon emissions, the environmental impact. The business of MenuCraft are trying to do a lot of things positively about the environment, and therefore I think it definitely has legs and could be tested. So now let's come on to the key performance information now on the right hand side, and be careful to interpret this information correctly, and be aware if new diagrams are provided on the exam day. So this links into the key performance indicators, so don't get that mixed up on page 6. So page 6, key performance indicators, page, which one are you on now? The last page is page number 12, and that is linking into the key performance information. So you can see on the diagrams, we'll take the ones on the bar charts on the left hand side, they are all in a positive trajectory, where we've got revenue per meal, total meals delivered. It's all looking positive and increasing. However, you see on the right hand side from the trends and the line graphs, it's, well, the top two, top one and bottom one, the revenues have been going down and the meals delivered growth has been going down. But you need to look at these in isolation and actually take it for what it is, as to, if I said to you, your business and their revenue for the year is going to grow by 18%, you'd bite your hand off and go, 18% increase, that's fantastic. Well, that is what MenuCraft has actually achieved, 18%. The thing that makes it look bad is that in previous years it's been 45, 32, 31, but the reason why it was 45% in 20XO is the previous year before that, the revenue was really, really, really low because the market really hadn't developed and customers weren't used to the actual business model itself of having meals delivered to you. You could also mention about the meal growth on there being stable and positive, but it's just making sure that if you are to apply these diagrams actually in the examination, and I think it actually has got potential to be tested because we've got 2 pages of it, make sure you interpret it correctly. So coming on to the last ones, you can see on the left hand side we've been given again some more bar charts on the left which are in a positive trajectory. So active customers are going up, average order value going up, annual order placed per customer is going up. So very positive on there. You can see my other notes on the side, but it's a case of the markets had been developing in the previous 10 years. But this is where just be careful with how you interpret it. So look at the annual order placed per customer at the bottom. So in 2004, it's up to 12. So when you have a look at page 4, when it says what frequency would you like to select for the meals to be delivered, that is actually basically saying that, say, 1 a month on there for it is usually what happens from an annual order placed per customer. So they're ordering 12 per year on there, per annual order place, so that is 1 a month on there. You can then look at the trends and the line diagrams on the right hand side. So active customer growth is going down, annual order place per customer growth is going down, the average order value, so these are the same percentages as you would imagine from the graph above in terms of revenue. So if we take the ones going down, look at the active customers growth was at 13%. Active customers growth at 13% is still a really positive outlook on there. 13% is pretty good. So again, it just comes down to and boils down to it's still positive what is going on. It's just not as high as it has been previously. But there is capacity in the actual marketplace to develop and look at the international markets because that is where the growth is going to have. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us down to the last point of the pre-C notes. So I hope you found today's video helpful as we're going through. Let me take you back up to the top. If you haven't already, make sure you've downloaded my notes. You can do that by clicking the link in the description of this video. You can also find down there those Astranti mock papers and pre-scene analysis packs. So click those links, check them out. They're definitely going to help you to pass. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video and the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if this is the last time I see you or hear from me before your exam, I just want to wish you the best of luck. And I hope my notes get you over the line to get you that 50+. So thank you very much.